The major drivers in the meantime are not just the new Siemens setup, but also the societal and market changes, digitalization, of course, AI, and a new generation joining our workforce. That's all really changing us, the way how we work, and eventually our company culture.
Welcome to a brand new episode of our podcast, Human and AI, Mind, Machines, and the Great Descent.
Thanks for tuning in. It means the world to us. We are Agnes and Uli, the moderators of this episode. And today's awesome mind is Marianne. She's the head of the talent programs team and is fueling the next generation leadership pipeline.
Bam, that should be super interesting for you folks out there, right? And let's dive right into our conversation with Marianne.
Marianne, thanks for taking some time with us. How are you and where did we catch you today?
Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm doing wonderful. I hope you're also doing good. And actually, you catch me in my home office environment, like most of the times in the past months. And I hope I found a quiet place to focus on our exchange.
Thank you. Let us start with a quick check-in. You can only pick one of the two. Are you into coffee or rather tea?
Even though I really enjoy tea, especially rooibos and chai, I'm definitely a coffee junkie, so no doubt.
There you go. That's a geeky.
Me too. Are you a veggie or a meat person?
Well, I have to admit I'm not a vegetarian, but for me, meat is rather the extra, the side dish, and I'm perfectly fine to minimize my consumption.
Would you prefer Alexa or Siri?
I tried Alexa. Right now, it's more Siri, but both not my closest friends yet.
How about some music? Do you prefer AC/DC or Mozart?
Well, that's a mean one. That should not be a decision anyone has to take. Mozart is one of my favorite classic superstars, jointly with Verdi. Their music is made to erase bad emotions and take you out of reality. But AC/DC is pure energy. Their music doesn't take you out of reality, it nails you down to the moment. Even after decades, they are really delivering on their band name.
Yeah. I'm also stuck with AC/DC, to be honest, right? They sound that simple. I play a bit of the guitar, right? They sound that simple, but they're so tight. It's amazing how tight this band is, right?
That's probably why, right?
I guess so, right? Yeah. So you're on talent, in the talent space, and you say to yourself, right? You have the opportunity to participate in shaping the future, and obviously, right? If you work with talent and finding obviously brightest talents, right? That means also it gives a unique opportunity, right? But can you describe a bit in a couple of minutes, what brought you actually into the space? How do you end up at Siemens, basically?
So, what brought me to Siemens actually a coincidence. A friend whom I met in my internship in Mexico informed me about a job opening in sales as commercial project manager in the mobile infrastructure business. That's one of the businesses we don't own as Siemens anymore. We're not active anymore. At that time, I was a production site controller of a chemical company, so it was not really an obvious match. I applied anyways and met a manager who looked behind a person's CV. He focused not so much on what I already was experienced in, but also on what I consider I'm capable of. A very interesting person and definitely one of the interviews I will never forget. So this was in 2000. Since then, I went through a broad variety of very different projects and functions throughout our three perspectives of business, country, and corporate. It was an extremely exciting professional road trip with many impressive people on the way. Some of them became close friends. I don't know in how many companies I would have had again and again the opportunity to jump into completely new functions, tasks, and responsibilities without the long-term track record behind. My current responsibility in HI talent acquisition for our global talent programs, SGP, FAP, and CEO program, is another proof point on that journey.
Amazing. What a journey, Marianne, actually, right? So I remember the first time we stumbled over, let's say, right, was actually with the Siemens, Werner von Siemens Award. So it is the lab has been, we made some application to the Werner von Siemens Award like a year, 2 years ago, a year, last year, I'm not sure. And this is what then, and the engagement with, hey, there exists an engagement team, an award team, right? And you were actually, retrospective, 4 years heading that thing, right? The Werner von Siemens Award. What is this award about, and why are those kinds of awards important for the corporate and maybe also for the people? Can you share a bit of, experience?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And let me start with expressing you definitely would deserve one of those trophies. But coming back to your question, the Werner von Siemens Award is our global company award. And for me, it's still an absolute highlight of my professional life. When back in 2014, Vision 2020 was developed, culture change towards an ownership driven organization was one of the cornerstones. But for many people, it was hard to connect. It didn't feel real. We needed to provide authentic proof points and showcases from normal Siemens employees and operative teams. So I had the pleasure to create the new award from scratch, jointly with a wonderful team, as one of the strategic and cultural anchors for Vision 2020 and ownership culture. So we went for a bottom-up logic and asked all Siemens employees to engage, to be proud on their achievements and to share their successes by applying directly in our online tool without management approval. The four categories were Siemens Matters, Customer First, Performance, and Ingenuity. And in addition, we honored the best country team and business team. So even though being far from perfect, the new award was highly appreciated and successful from year one onwards. All managing board members and top management supported and engaged as jury. It was the hands-on confirmation that culture is nothing you can design and roll out like any other project. You need to start thinking from a purely human point of view. So it may be sound strange, but what I do right now kind of relates perfectly well to my experience in the Werner von Siemens Award, because it showed me again and again that the one crucial success factor across business, region, technology, it's people.
True. Yeah, and I guess it's similar is also to that, when we do somehow competitive hacks, like hackathons or whatsoever, right? It's not about the money actually, winning something. It's not about, having a monetary background. It's devoting and focus is such a pleasure for most of people, and obviously somehow also management exposure, right? It seems to be, because the natural reflex is if you go in a competitive mode, what can I win, right? Is this some gadgets or stuff like that, or is it money or stock awards or whatsoever? In most of the cases I saw, it's not about the prizes. It's rather about the opportunity, to be focused and to present why something cares and what makes a difference and what could be an impact, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really being seen, being visible, being recognized, and being heard. And I think this is a very, very human driving force.
You started talking about the change in culture. Obviously, the digital transformation comes with a culture shift. Do you experience this kind of culture change at the moment, or can you add any more examples for this?
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, I think we are living in a transformational reality in many aspects, so inside and outside Siemens. But they are all influencing our company culture. So when ownership culture was initiated in 2014, it was just like a first nudge. The major drivers in the meantime are not just the new Siemens setup, but also the societal and market changes, digitalization, of course, AI, and a new generation joining our workforce. That's all really changing us, the way how we work, and eventually our company culture.
Thanks. So in our area, we use the definition of AI that is making machines capable of performing intelligent tasks like human beings. What are the changes in talent acquisition that you can observe that originate in this increasing digitalization? Maybe other than the culture shift that you just referenced.
Even so, I think we observe throughout the past 10 years already an increasing level of digitalization in all relevant areas of talent acquisition and HR. I think we are still at the very beginning of this major transformation. It's just about to take off, right? So the changes in talent acquisition are all influenced, from my point of view, by two trends. The one is, as said, digitalization or related technologies, but also behavioral sciences. So the combination of both trends, I think, is key for what we observe in talent acquisition. The better we understand how the human brain really works, what triggers decisions and behaviors, how our biases really work, why they are unconscious when it's about ourselves. And the better and more effective we can use all data driven technologies, I think. And the changes we already see today are including all aspects of talent acquisition. So, starting from talent trend studies, recruitment marketing, hiring and selection processes. In the future, we will be more and more capable to focus on the candidate journey, I think, and also take psychometric analysis as a supporting science, so that all of those will improve the hiring quality in the future, I'm sure. So we will see that both are benefiting the candidate and the company by having better matches when it comes to hiring.
Can you see already shifts somehow? I remember the hype on AI was like at 2 years ago, right? Everybody was like, there is a war of talent, right? We need this, AI geeks, and there will be a cost fortune to get them because we don't have enough, right? And on the other side, apart from the hype on AI, then you see that, this cooperation is somehow quite a long path already in trying to make its role and find its position, I guess, in the digitalization in software business. Can you already see, the requirements and the shifts and the skills and the jobs, right, that tangible in the talent space? Obviously, I guess, right? Would you say everybody needs to do now, study math or computer science? Is that like, pure focus? What is your reflection on that? So the last 2 years, maybe, on that.
Well, first of all, about hype in AI, it always sounds like it's almost over. I personally think we are just at the starting point, as said. But you're absolutely right. Computer science is essential in the future. So I would say studying computer science is not a bad choice. However, it's probably not the only one. I think we have to see it or bring it in a bigger context. For me, data is one of the most underestimated and also underused assets in the company. So, data gurus like yourself with creative ideas to leverage that potential will definitely be wanted. But it's not just about computer science. We need also people focused on user experience. We need business architects capable to turn specific customer challenges in not just into solutions, but really into business. So instead of purely searching for perfection, really searching for this best fit. And I think we need a sales force and leadership with the right fighting spirit. Just recently, I had an interesting exchange with a manager who called it a mindset of participate to win instead of just participate to play. I think that brings it really to the point. And let me add one more aspect. We need increasing capabilities in communications and marketing, not for standard messages, but to drive perception. Also, here, digitalization and analytics will play an increasingly important role. Fast communication channels and social media will more and more impact us, but also our customers. It's the perceived value driving a customer's decision. And we need to understand what forms customer perception in an increasingly virtual and digital environment. So, those are just a few examples how much data mindset as key requirement in the future goes beyond what we might consider the, let's say, classic IT specialist.
What would you recommend an 18-year-old that just finished high school to focus on?
Well, I think my first recommendation would be one, try to find your driving forces. Try to find out what topics, which questions and changes are really relevant for you. What are you intrinsically interested in, independent of getting paid? What were the activities or the hobbies you got even in trouble for because you just couldn't stop it? Having a clear passion is a gift and should definitely impact any career choice. So that's the first one. So, my second recommendation for an 18-year-old probably would be to go for trial and error, especially in that phase of life. So, do as many different jobs as possible to get your personal look and feel of professional life. Even the tough experiences help you to figure out what you're capable of, where your strengths are, and which gaps will be a problem. So, to experience that working is so much more than earning your rent is, I think, for me, of timeless importance. I know that wasn't the only focus of your question, but I think the future work split between humans and machines will most likely change everything and way beyond just our work environment. So, looking at the bandwidth of expert predictions tells me any prediction right now for an 18-year-old or younger is equally good or bad. I think we simply don't have the answers yet because it's on us as individuals, as a company, and also as society to create the answer.
Yeah. And now I feel like I'm 18 years old. I feel like I'm still in try and error. But I guess
That's good. You should
yeah.
keep that spirit. I'm also trying to go for that.
Yeah, thanks for that, Flash. What I find interesting is the last 3 years, everybody was like, on the job profiles, you want to be a data scientist, right? You want to be a machine learning geek or stuff like that, right? Some data science, tweaking, squeezing neural nets or any machine learning algorithms. But if you look then on the corporate world, right, you see that, the aspects of actually number crunching and, geeking out over algorithms, right, is, I don't know what, 1% of the actual process of building smart applications, let's say, or intuitive application or business value added applications, right? Because you're on the left side, you have all the business understanding aspects and the ETL, like, transforming data or cleaning data. On the other side, you have this deeply, need to integrate it somewhere. It needs to start actually from the deployed object somewhere, right? So it turns out that, that current frameworks already, trying to jeopardize the skill based on traditional data scientists, making that automatically, right? It's called AutoML, right? So
Yeah.
even in the short period of time, right, the jobs and the job profiles And somehow the collaboration between technology and human, right, changed significantly, right, in a small era of, I don't know, let's say 4 years, right? So how do you see that if you now explorate, right, in the future of large corporate, right? And I guess you need to go in this direction, like, how do job profiles look then in 5 to 7 years, right? Can you see, what kind of impact that will have? What kind of, are you really interested about, future job profiles we couldn't even made of, right? Like 5 years ago, and somebody told me, in my professional life I will be a TikToker, right? I said, like, what? These job profile change, right? How do you cope with this complexity in talent acquisition?
I think you described it perfectly well. And I also just know TikTok by having a daughter extensively using it. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that's why, for me, recommendations along fixed and determined job profiles is the wrong thinking. It's really this creative process we are all in, where it's probably not so much to think in the fixed structures and in the boxes, but really thinking in ecosystems and thinking from the end, like from customers, and when we observe them, what the needs are, what the calls in terms of convenience are, and what's possible from a data point of view. And along those changes, we will derive the new job profiles, if you still want to call them this way. So I think right now, to predict anything according fixed structures, profiles for the next 5, 10 years, or even beyond makes not a lot of sense. If I look into our arena as talent programs focusing on, for instance, leadership potential of the future, we go more for what will be most likely be relevant in that future we are entering in. So what I see, for instance, is that new leadership will be driven by real empowerment. I'm not just talking about allowing home office or post-corona. I think in post-corona times that's anyways a given. It's more fundamental, where I think skills like being opportunity driven more than fear driven is relevant, or impact driven more than process driven. Thinking and working in dynamic networks and ecosystems, even beyond our company borders, rather than acting within fixed org boxes or job descriptions. And I think instead of controlling their organizations, future leaders need to drive visions which are customer focused, independent if they are personally in sales or not. So, in able to live up to the required speed we see, leaders will not have the time to control their people, their teams. Trust will be a prerequisite, I think. They are mainly connecting the value dots from diverse contributors in the organization in the future to really generate relevant impact. So I think that's the trends I see. And of course, we can draw fixed job profiles out of that, and we will need to really make those ideas concrete in order to be able to hire. But we need to think more in potential than in already given CV facts and data in the future. That's what I see as a trend.
Okay, but that also means that we have to invest more in continuous education. Is that correct? Which role does that play at Siemens, and how do you predict this will develop?
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. So, and I think with Siemens, we definitely have, let's say, a competitive advantage here. Siemens is extremely excellence focused. That's always been one of our strengths and an essential part of our brand recognition, if you think about it. A big portion of that excellence was homemade. So Siemens was always focused on apprentices programs, dual studies, and manifold development programs, not just ones I'm responsible for right now, but throughout the company. So Just take the example of our SGP, the Siemens graduate program. It started as a so-called Ingenieurskreis almost 100 years ago, and it's still highly recognized in and outside Siemens. I'm convinced we can use that strong learning heritage we have as advantage in the future, where a mindset of lifelong learning and development will definitely be crucial, as you mentioned. So therefore, I don't think at Siemens we have a basic mindset problem. We need to rethink the concepts of learning and redesign our offering. So in a nutshell, we have to develop from a strong, let's say, classroom, one size fits all concept towards an open source, virtual, and mobile concept. Learning has to be more and more integrated in our daily routines, individualized, and it definitely has to become fun. So I think Learning Campus did a big step forward with the Siemens Learning World, and I'm sure there is much more to come.
AI is a really important technology, as you mentioned. Also, in the sphere of HR, there is an interesting development going on. There are many new services available that use this technology in human resource management, and examples include, for example, the linguistic analysis of candidate interviews for hiring recommendations, or a video analysis for detecting suspicious behavior within video interviews. Other companies pride themselves for not using such tools, referencing the countless scandals of biased technology. What is your position on the use of AI in HR?
Yeah, I know that's a difficult one, especially when it comes to humans, right? But to be honest, I'm convinced that it's not a question if we will use AI in HR in the future. It's rather the question how. So, from my point of view, it's the wrong reaction to stop or forbid the usage completely. Don't get me wrong, it was the right decision to take this bias serious you were talking about. But we should not forget the root cause of biases is people driven. The algorithm was trained based on existing data, right? So the existing biases were strengthened. We should take those critical developments as precious learning opportunities on the way forward, not just to improve the technology, the algorithms, but mainly to reflect on our human piece in it. We have to analyze and better understand our own biases in order to sustainably improve hiring decisions. That would be, for me, a major step forward.
Okay, to finish off, let's play a little game. I start with the beginning of a phrase and you continue with the second part. Siemens is.
Wow, Siemens is for me a wonderful cocktail of business, relevant contributor to the future, and for me personally, a family and friends feeling.
Business to society is.
A great vehicle for demonstrating the contribution of our different global activities, an opportunity to overcome the negative perception of multinationals by demonstrating the changes we are capable to deliver. And of course, it won the first Werner von Siemens Award in Siemens Matters, so it's close to my heart.
Purpose is.
Increasingly important to attract and retain excellent talents. The purpose mindset, I think, is an energy we should use to combine business with the possibility to contribute to big global challenges.
My greatest talent is.
Wow, that's a tough one. I would say the combination of two extremes in my personality. I'm very enthusiastic on the one side and kind of a natural born devil's advocate, if you want to put it this way. So I don't know if that's considered a talent, but for me, it's a very strong source.
And my personal moonshot is.
Contributing to a purpose and collaboration driven leadership model in our company and Siemens as part of a new global value system, I would say.
Whoa. Marianne, thanks so much being in first place you and spending the time with us here in this great conversation. And thanks for your openness, sharing quite some personal notes as well on the history. It's much appreciated. And I think also the folks out there, right? Hey, guys out there, stay tuned. There is so much to come. Stay bold, committed, open-minded. And we hear us definitely at the next Siemens AL podcast. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.